Hey everyone, welcome to The Zest, the official podcast of Orange Coast Magazine. I'm Chelsea Ranieri, and today's guest is the founder and CEO of Prjkt Restaurant Group. She is the woman behind the 7 incredible concessions in Huntington Beach, including SeaLegs at the beach, the Huntington Beach House, and Sahara's Sandbar and Pizza, as well as a mobile concession called Sea Scoops. She's also the co-founder of the Salty Bee Boutique. Thank you so much for being here today, Alicia Cox.
Hi, nice to meet everybody.
So I actually grew up in Huntington, and when I was a kid, there were only like a few concession stands really, and they really didn't offer much outside of just like rentals and snacks. And now, thanks to you, I've seen Tiffany Haddish at SeaLegs performing. I've celebrated friends' birthdays at the Huntington Beach House. I've seen my friend's dad's band perform at Beach City Provision. So I absolutely love what you created. I'm a huge fan of all of your concessions.
Thank you. We like to coin it that we're recreating recreation. So we all used to go to the beach and just think there was a few ways to recreate, right? And surf and maybe go for a jog in the sand. And what we, and when I say we, it's myself and state parks, California state parks, have really focused on recreating recreation and modernizing the experiences that you get when you come to California state parks properties.
I love it so much. And, it's so funny how much it's changed. And I always wondered who was behind all these different concessions, because first it was SeaLegs and then it expanded, and we'll get into it later, but you have an 8th one coming soon that I'm really excited to talk about. But to start, so you grew up in Lake Tahoe. What brought you out to Huntington Beach?
Yeah, I grew up in Lake Tahoe, which is funny because I just actually got back and it's so beautiful.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it is so beautiful there. And, it's funny is when I was a kid, I just thought it was, there was much more out there for me than being in kind of a small town and a small mountain town. So when I was 19, my dad kind of pushed me and he said, go out here, go to school. My uncle owned a restaurant here in Huntington Beach called Hurricanes.
Iconic.
Yep, iconic, right? At that time, I was like, okay. And, go work for him and, go to school. And so that's exactly what I did. I picked up and kind of just on a whim, packed everything in my car and moved to Orange County.
When I read that your uncle owns Hurricanes, I was like, oh my God, that was like iconic with my friends and I in our 20s. Like the light up dance floor, like it's so much fun. And the food's great too. Like I've eaten there for lunch and it's amazing.
Yeah, and they've had it there forever. I mean, what's like years of Hurricanes? It's been around for quite some time.
Oh my God, no way. So what was the work that you were doing for your uncle?
Well, I first just wanted to cocktail waitress and go to school and have no responsibilities. But my uncle basically told me at the time, I want you to help me with some marketing. You can't just cocktail here. Like, let's do some things. And he had it's just kind of a funny story, actually. He had a club in the 90s called Club Moist. And he said, let's bring back Club Moist. Like it was really hot. I want to do some better promotions here. Like, help me with the marketing of this and help me think this through. And I was mortified because I was like, I was 19, 20, just making friends in Huntington Beach. Like last thing I wanted to do was be representing like a Club Moist. And at the time, I didn't even represent anything. I was nobody, but so I had come up with this fake name of a promoter by the name of Cash Fontaine. And it was a fake alias. And I didn't want to let my uncle down. So I basically created this person who was going to throw these events or throw this event for him or be behind the event. And I brought in my friends who just started this energy drink called Rockstar and another one of my friends who just started this clothing company called Sullen. And I grew, and it's funny because I can go back through my my memorabilia, and I had like orange, like on construction paper, Cash Fontaine presents a Halloween masquerade at Hurricanes, sponsored by Rockstar and Sullen, and that was 2000 around, and so it went off. And it was
wow.
I remember it did $20,000 in sales that night. My uncle was like, "Do it again." And I was like, I don't even know what I just did. I just, kind of put this and this together. But I felt like, I don't know, can it give me like a buzzy feeling? Like I felt like I was doing something where I should be doing this. And so I continue to keep doing these Cash Fontaine parties for my uncle. I didn't want anybody to know it was me. And then my friends opened up this nightclub in Huntington called Liquid Lounge. And they're like, come be our marketing director. And I was like, okay. Like I really didn't know anything about them. I mean,
how old are you at this point?
19, 20, 21.
Oh my God. That age. So young.
And so my friends opened up this nightclub called Liquid Lounge. And I basically kept throwing the Cash Fontaine parties there. And my deal was, I remember like so clear as day, I got $1,500 a month. I got a cell phone. and I got to be the bartender at the main bar. And that was like, I was so stoked. And so in the meantime, I started putting together like all their marketing and promotions and just having a blast with it. I really had no idea this was going to be my future. I was just kind of playing. And then really, it's kind of like the infancy of my career, but all the people that I brought on board on Liquid Lounge, I mean, Sujit, who owns Scam Records, my girlfriend Chanel, who works for Paul Macaration, and she's running his property in Montana. I mean, all these people were our friends then, who we were kind of just going like, okay, what should we do? And now that everybody's kind of taken off from that point and grown into their own careers. Yeah. And that was the very beginning. And I used to bartend and tell people, Cash Fontaine just left. Like, go that way. He's in that room.
I love
Anyway,
that.
not a lot of people know that story, but that's how it, and then it never ended. Basically,
Right.
I have never stopped from that point. I never continue to go on for Vegas to my own things. Cash Fontaine died, but I grew, I guess.
Cash Fontaine's such a I love that name. That's so funny.
Good name.
But so yeah, Vegas. I watched you in a video and you're talking about what you were doing. Can you talk about a bit about what you're doing in Vegas? And I also saw that you said that you worked with celebrities when you were there. Do you have any stories you can share with that too?
Well, a couple of things. There's a couple of chapters, but I'll go fast into like Vegas. But I was working, working with this nightclub, and I started buying ads in OC Weekly. And then next thing I know, I was, they were like, why don't you come work for us? And I thought, I really wanted to get out of, I didn't want to be in a nightclub. I was probably like 23 and thought that was like way too old to be in a nightclub. Right. So moved on from there. And I became, I first started selling ads at OC Weekly, which turned into me sitting in front of this Fox Sports girl at the city of Irvine and connecting them with my friend who's a DJ, my other friend who had this vodka company, and OC Weekly, trying to help them put on like a promotion. And then the vodka company said, come work for me. I left OC Weekly. It was like 2 months there. And I worked for Jermaine Dupri's vodka company and that's where probably a lot of the celebrity stuff really, because at the time it was 2005, I'm like 25 years old. And I'm running around selling vodka into accounts, but in return to get Jermaine Dupri and Janet Jackson's, the whole So Def crew, to come in and do an appearance, which is kind of like the beginning or around when appearances in nightclubs kind of kicked off. So leveraging all of it, but then taking it all back to OC Weekly, saying an OC Weekly will put an ad in OC Weekly so we can then showcase that Jermaine Dupri is going to be at, we'll call it Super, right? And so it was just in that time frame, and then got an opportunity to go back to OC Weekly and be their marketing director. So worked for OC Weekly for like 2 months, was a sales rep, came back at 26, became their marketing director, and I freaking loved that job. And coming from publications, it was so fun because at that point I had been doing this all without a way to speak to the community and speak and have a voice that was a media. And so to have a media and be able to put on events and have a media that could broadcast any crazy idea I had in my head was so fun. I loved that. And I had a blast putting on all these events for OC Weekly, created Decadence, did wedding expos, did Savvy Singles. I mean, you name it. We did so much fun stuff at OC Weekly. It was so fun. We drove a ton of advertising revenue before print died, ton of advertising revenue using the magazine and the magazine topper, where you could go pick them up to really showcase all the events. Had a freaking blast. Became the marketing director for LA Weekly and then the Phoenix New Times. We were surrounding Las Vegas. And I thought one day, I said, I should go and try to get Las Vegas in our magazine. What a great idea. I'm surrounding them. I'm speaking to all these people. I bet you they want to come involved. I met the guy at Tao, Jason Strauss, and he basically sponsored one of my events. And in that moment, I got the attention of Vegas. And I had people recruiting me at one of my events at OC Weekly to go work for them in Vegas. And then I kind of didn't know what to do because I really loved what I was doing. But then I got a phone call at my desk by a guy named Chad Palace, total legend. I didn't know at the time how much of a legend he is and was. He created the pool party phenomenon in Las Vegas.
Oh, no way.
He created rehab. He was the one who started and ignited the fact that people could party at pools.
Oh, wow.
And he called me up and basically said, like, I want you to come work for me. I'm going to fly you into Vegas, and I want to cut a deal with you. And he said it in such a lot of fun verbiage that came with that. But I flew to Vegas. I shouldn't. I don't know. I was like so afraid. I loved my job. I wasn't trying to leave, but I figured I gotta see what's going on here. I'm intrigued. So I got there, and basically he he offered me a job to work in Vegas 3 days a week, live in the casino, and help him do all the entertainment marketing for Station Casinos, which is Fertitta Brothers, and they own the UFC.
Oh my God.
Yeah, long story short, this is a long story, but my first stay in Vegas was 45 days, wasn't 3 days.
Oh.
Second stay in Vegas was 38 days. I was in Vegas living in a casino basically for 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
It was honestly the best thing that ever could have happened for my career.
Really? Yeah.
I had no friends. I had nothing to do but work. I was chasing my boss around, who was a wild, creative man and was kind of picking up pieces, trying to figure out what would work, learned and understood the underworkings of a casino, especially when it came to the marketing side, kind of created my own critical path. But I basically went to every casino they had and started making a list of all the ways that I could speak to the consumer, got all the sizes, got who I have to deal with in the casino, and just created this like master game plan. So then anytime we needed to do any sort of promotion, it was just like, we're going to do New Year's Eve. And I would just get it and sprinkle it all over their entire environments. And at some point, I remember having like 54 New Year's Eve promotions going on between all the casinos that they had.
Oh my God.
I brought a lot of people from OC Weekly and OC with me to Vegas. So like
cool.
Ben Froelich, who now owns Ink Refuge, he still does all my graphic design. He did it all with me, and he still does a bunch of stuff out there now. And so, yeah, it was a lot of fun. But came home, I got pregnant with my daughter. Sahara, my one and only, and worked in Vegas till I was 7 months pregnant, and came home and thought, oh my God, nothing's changed in Orange County. I was just having so much fun. Wait a minute. What am I going to do with my life? I was so like, it just was so, like going 100 miles an hour to like zero.
Yeah.
Back home was like, wow. I mean, everybody's still going to Sutra. It's been there for like 100 years. And like Main Street's all there is to offer in Huntington. And I was kind of depressed, to be honest with you. I kind of went through like a postpartum weird, but it wasn't postpartum because of my baby. It was like more postpartum because of Vegas. Yeah. I was like sad I wasn't doing that life anymore. And then I was trying to figure out like what I was going to do here. And it was like, oh, go take a job opportunity at Commerce Casino. I was like, no, I can't do that. And I don't want to be in like nightlife. And one of the last things I did in Vegas was we created a venue. And they basically had given us a budget and said, create a venue. We had to create a country western venue in like 3 months. And yeah, and I lived in that particular casino. And it was so cool because for me, coming from the event world, a venue was like having an event every day with 4 walls. And it just changed my whole perspective. I never thought I would get into venues. I always was in the event side of things and marketing and how to drive revenue and drive traffic and media, publication, branding, activations. Never was on the thought process of a venue until we did it. And I was like, whoa. Because, if you guys have ever done events, the postmortem of an event is always where you're like, oh my God, the porta potties were full too early, or we ran out of water. And you don't have another chance until you do that event again to fix it. And so when doing it with you, I was like, you could fix it the next day. You don't have to another year or 3 months or whatever so the event happens. Just fix it the next day and continue to make it better by having kind of a postmortem every day. Right. And so anyways, long story short, because it's a good long story. I came home and started making my own things. And it was a whole nother set of challenges and struggles, but that's what led me into that. And your question about celebrities, let's see. Met a lot of MMA players fighters, because of the Fertittas owning the UFC, Dana White, Hoist Gracie, and a lot of people I probably never knew who they were because I really wasn't a big UFC person, but I could tell cauliflowered ears at Station Casinos. They're at Red Rock in particular, across the street. So I pretty much stayed at Red Rock, but across the street was their headquarters. And the very bottom of their headquarters is where all the fighters would train before a fight. So you would see a lot of them, going in right before their fights would happen. Definitely like Chuck Liddell. I mean, a lot of MMA fighters. As far as celebrities are concerned, I mean, God, there were so many in Vegas. It's hard to even pinpoint. Not that any that I like directly were involved with, but we did throw like Perry Farrell, and we had Slash and Dave Navarro, and so that was cool. We definitely got to meet them. I have a picture with Slash's hat on. Super epic. Gosh, I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that was so significant. It's funny if you start to do this for a while. Mm-hmm. you get a little immune to the celebrity
Yeah.
because they're just people at the end of the day, and they don't want to be treated like celebrities. So you get a little
Right.
immune to it. But I would say probably the most awestruck I've ever been by a celebrity is I rode the elevator with Justin Timberlake once.
Oh my God. I would
She was
die.
like trying to make eye contact, you know?
Yeah. I would just die.
Yeah, I think Justin Timberlake is probably at the top of my charts for meeting.
Oh yeah, I definitely that would be on my top too.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning like there wasn't really anything going on in Huntington, and I remember when SeaLegs opened on beach, and my girlfriends and I loved it. Like it was so fun. It was so cute too. It just like was so perfect. And then, Sea Salt followed, but I would love because I do want to really get to the concessions. So we do have to skip a little bit. But
Yeah.
so to fast forward a bit, so you were approached by the Chamber of Commerce about an opportunity at Bolsa Chica State Beach. What was your initial reaction to this? So you have like these two successful, thriving businesses,
Yeah.
and then it's just like a concession. Like, and especially like, I don't think I would have the creativity to come up with what you did from what was there before.
Yeah. Well, I think the events background was part of doing events was being able to be creative. So when SeaLegs and Sea Salt opened, it was so fun to be able to create those venues, and they were successful. I mean, the only thing I didn't know a lot about was being a businesswoman. I had to cut my teeth really hard on that aspect, but got those rest. The good thing was anytime I made a mistake, I knew how to drive revenue. So I was driving revenue into both my spots. And because they were so busy and we started winning so many awards and got so much notoriety and attention, I had somebody from the city come to me and say, "Hey, we want to endorse you for this project at Bolsa Chica." And I went, "Bolsa Chica? Isn't that like the gap of sand on my way to Long Beach that I just,
Right.
I don't think I'd ever been to Bolsa Chica."
Yeah.
I mean, I can't do that. I was in the process of just getting my SeaLegs at LAX going, and two restaurants. My daughter at the time was like 4. And so I'm like, there's just no way. I'm not even, but they're like, go take a look at it, just look. And so I did, and I went to the presentation of what they were wanting to do. And I thought to myself, because one thing that stuck out is they were going to allow alcohol on the beach. And that's wild, because you can't have alcohol on the beach. Like that's a big deal. So that was really intriguing. And so then I went and I started looking at all the properties, and I did the tour of them all, but they were all not in great shape. There were like homeless encampments on the outside. And
Oh my God, there were.
Yeah, they were. I mean, one of them was a straight up pigeon den, which I didn't even know what that was until I literally was in it and had to have like hazmat removed it out. I mean, there was uninhabited for like 15 years.
Wow.
And I mean, I know what just one winter will do at the beach, those concessions. So 15 years is just so much sand, so much damage, so much homelessness, so many animals. And so they looked pretty bad from the outside, and they were really outdated. But then we would open them up, and I was like, what the heck? It's like a brand new kitchen inside. And I know how much now a kitchen costs, right? So I'm like, oh, that's wild. So went to all of them, and all of them, were really intriguing because Bolsa, I didn't know a lot about Bolsa. I didn't know which concession would be the best to bid on. I kind of told myself I should just try. I don't want to be a coulda, shoulda. I'm going to try and see what happens. I didn't even know what RFP stood for. I was so blind and so ignorant, right?
What's RFP?
Request for proposal.
Okay.
You have to submit a request for proposal to the state, and a panel of people grade that on a 1 to 100 point system, and whoever gets the highest points wins. And so, and again, people hire like, really wealthy businesses and people will hire someone to do those for them. But I was like, my background was in marketing. So I'm like, I'll just try. Graphic design, good copy, and really great vision. And what I was going to do was just bid on one, but I just couldn't figure out which one, because like one had a big kitchen, one was the biggest, one was the highest, and which one would be the best. And then some of my friends said, why don't you bid on all 4 and maybe you'll get one, but at least you bid on all 4 and you've got 4 different odds. And I went, why did I think of that? Why did I think of that? That's so brilliant. I bid on all 4. So at the time I was like, SeaLegs, Sea Salt, come up with 2 other concepts. And then Beach City Provisions, and then Pacific Kitchen. And I put the bid together. I mean, it was like these bids at the time. Now they're much more advanced, but the bids at the time, it was like on a piece of paper that had been Xeroxed like 100 times. And like, and you couldn't really call anybody. I was so blind to it. I'm like, what is an interpretive plan? Submit an interpretive plan. I'm like, what?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
What does that mean? Right. And so many points on the RFP. Anyways, I submitted and I gave it a kiss and just gave it a good old fashioned, try. I didn't have anybody to lean on. I just put all the work in myself, and we won. I won the bid for the entire beach and all four.
Oh my God.
And it wasn't,
So cool.
I was like, oh my God, I wasn't planning for that, right? I was hoping
Yeah.
get one, maybe. And next thing I know, I'm opening up LAX at the time. Yeah, Sea Salt was open right after that, and all four concessions. So it's like in a year, I opened up 5 restaurants. I was 35 years old. Definitely felt like I aged myself to about 65 in that year. And it was hard because there were a lot of people who didn't want to see the change. And so I had like angry, mean old men who'd like tap on my shoulder and be like, you're going to fail. And I'm like,
what?
Because I'm like at their surf spot.
Ew.
They were just mad. I was like encroaching in their area or updating these. But then, the greatest blessing, to be honest, was like state parks. California State Parks. My superintendent was unbelievable to work with. He was unbelievably supportive. He spent the time to explain to me what it meant to be a proud partner to California State Parks and what that's like a badge you wear. And that basically now, I've been doing business for myself. Now I'm doing business with California. And I never even thought about it like that. And it's so honored and really like, he really helped guide me to a pathway where I was successful for his vision and successful for my vision. And it was amazing. And to be honest with you, SeaLegs of the Beach took off so fast that I couldn't keep up with the amount of work because it wasn't a concession. It wasn't a music venue. It wasn't a day club. It wasn't a beach club, right? It was this like hybrid of all things. Yeah. And it wasn't like I could call my neighbor and be like, hey, how did you do this? Because no one else had done it before me. So I had to keep trailblazing through that process of trying to figure out what works and what didn't work. And like the first year I had like servers out there, because I was now doing restaurants. I had servers like serving people and, they'd be holding a thing of nachos and the person was just standing there and then they're gone. The nachos have got like sand in them.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, just one. And then, your Yelp at the time when people looked at Yelp, my Yelp scores went down to like 1.5. And I'm like, God, so I got rid of servers. Can pick up your food in the window.
Yeah, it's so easy. Like, I love it how it is right now.
What a game changer, right? And so lots of things like that slowly. I mean, and the nice part about the beach is like every season when it ends, I get a moment to think, and back to the event side of things. I get to think. Yeah. Because it's almost like I'm putting on an event for 8 months, right? On the weekends. I sit and I replan and re-strategize, listen to what I did right or wrong the year before, and then start all over again with a new strategy. And so every year I'm just constantly competing with my last year. And then it just goes on from there. Sea Salt, Beach City Provisions, Pacific Kitchen, and then Huntington State Beach became available.
Oh yeah. Tell me about that. So you bid on 3 more, right?
Yes, I bid on 3 more, and those ones were like, right next to the pier. And, in my eyes, it was just so much easier at Huntington State Beach than Bolsa because there was really nothing there before. So we had to like build it. And I mean, people go to the beach, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't an attraction where, you've got the hotels and you've got a lot of special events in downtown Huntington. So it seemed like it was such a better fit. It seemed like it'd be an easier fit to be able to take this. And I got, years of listening to California State Parks, listening to the community, learning, understanding, and tried an RFP again. Did it myself, but did it with now the experience that I have. Like now I understand what an interpretive plan is. Like now I understand what they are looking for and seeking in a partner. And so when I bid on that, I really was concerned I was going to have a lot of competition because I would have created it. And I had the hotels there, and there was a lot of people who had eyes on it. There's a lot of people who wanted it, Anyways, a long story short, with a grateful heart, I won that concession contract. And so it's been a long journey. In the process, it was way too hard for me to juggle, thousands, call it like hundreds of thousands of people at the beach, and then go back to my wine bar and be like, oh, did you need a bottle of wine from your wine locker? And so I eventually, I knew when I was going to grow to Huntington State Beach, I had to let the restaurants go. And it was probably the hardest decision I've ever made in my life. SeaLegs in particular cried for like a month. It was like a baby. I couldn't let it go. And It's so sad because there was so much hard. It was like all my dreams and everything were in that, and so much of the community and so many memories. I was so hard to say goodbye to SeaLegs. Sea Salt, yes, because it was so cool, but SeaLegs just had so much more of my like heart and soul into it. And so,
It was so cute.
It
I
was.
love that spot.
It's nothing like it since.
No.
I'm actually writing a cookbook right now, and that's a whole other side story.
That's great.
I'm writing this cookbook, and I'm going back through all the photos we took, and I just keep thinking to myself, now that I'm in the future, we were so ahead of our time.
Literally.
We're so ahead of our time. We had put out such cool food that even I look at the photos and I think, even sea salt too, nothing compared to those two menus that I can find around, and the style and the vibe and details and Yeah.
So when does your cookbook come out?
Well, as soon as I finish it. I was hoping to put it out for the holidays. We'll see if I get to that place. That would be my goal. If I don't get it done, because I'm not going to try to fast forward through this. I want to make sure it's well done. And it's also like a photo and recipe montage of of a culinary storytale, right? It's like all the food I've been feeding Huntington Beach all these years. And so, it's not something you can rush through. I'll put it this way. I was up editing my first draft of it. I have it, like a draft of it. But I was editing and replacing photos and stuff. So we're getting closer. If I don't get it done by the holidays, then I'm going to do it when I open up California Fork and Spoon.
Yes. So I would love to just give a quick list of all of the concessions that you have. So there's SeaLegs at the beach, Sea Salt Burger, Beach City Provisions, Pacific Kitchen, the Huntington Beach House, Sahara Sandbar, and then Box Beach Essentials. And then you have California Fork and Spoon. So can you tell me about what is going to make this restaurant different and when it's coming, what we can look forward to?
So we had a unhoused burn the bathrooms down.
Oh.
So because of that, the bathrooms became condemned and the bathroom building had to go down. With the bathroom building going down, the opportunity was to rethink the space because we didn't need to put it back where it was at. And so with state parks, they actually went ahead and removed all the concrete, because once you start removing the bathroom, now the concrete's compromised. So they went ahead and removed all the concrete outside of the restaurant and we moved the bathrooms. They'll be the first of a new design that'll be coming for updated bathrooms at both beaches. The bathroom, and if you imagine like when you're at the concession, right now the bathroom's kind of like right in the middle. So we're going to move the bathroom down to the very like closer to PCH so that the pad is much bigger. And so that location's at Brookhurst. It'll be the largest all concrete pad. I'm taking out all the sand there. And I'm planning to turn it into a wedding where we'll have all of our weddings and special events, because we'll easily sit 500 people in round tables at that pad because we moved the bathrooms all the way to the very far corner. So right now I'm really just waiting on California State Parks to finish they've got once the slab is done, they've had to do new footings and and so much it goes into it. It seems like it's so much easier than it is, but demoing the bathroom, replanning it, getting all the approvals, and then laying that whole new slab. I drive by it almost every day and I think, not yet. So, the goal is definitely next year. They're definitely getting closer. I did the exterior work so that I could at least, because it was so ugly. I needed to make it look prettier. And so I just went ahead and I did smooth stucco and framed out the arches. And I'm going to do a whole like a California coastal Mediterranean vibe there.
Ooh.
Because I want brides to be able to make it look like their own. It'll have an outdoor chimenea and seating area so that you have that. And the theme there will be the California poppy. So I'm looking on keeping everything kind of like a monotone, like vanilla coloring, even like vanilla whitewashed stone. But then the one thing will pop out is I'm going to have the big red California poppy on the sign on all four sides. And the plan will be to do a homage to not only California State Parks, but also all of the things that we've been feeding people all these years. And so I basically with the cookbook has just been going backwards in time and looking at it from a culinary perspective was so enlightening, because all I could think of is I got to bring that dish back. That was a great dish. We should bring that dish back. Yeah. Let's have that dish there. And so it may end up being where the cookbook comes out with California Fork and Spoon. And
Ooh.
then we're reigniting a lot of those recipes. I'm going to bring in I actually still have the Santa Maria barbecue grill that was at Sea Salt that, that I spent like $5,000 at the time on this just grill that had like, handles that make sure
I
that
remember that. Was it outside?
it was inside the glass.
Okay, you could see it from the outside
You
part?
see it from the outside. And so
I remember
I
that.
still have that, and I've been saving it for something. I don't know what I was saving it for. I was saving it for something. This is, I think, the moment I save it. And I actually put an outdoor pit there so we can barbecue outside. And
Oh,
bring
that's gonna be so good.
a tri-tip, because we know how to do it now. I mean, it took years to figure out how to recreate that Santa Maria tri-tip like they do in Santa Maria, California. And so we know how to do it. We know the secrets to it. So I'm going to bring back the pit. I'm going to bring back a lot of those recipes. The plan would be that I'm open until like 5 o'clock every day, and really focus on like a breakfasty brunch on the beach. And then, I plan on us being really busy for weddings. So I will plan on closing so that we can then have a wedding in the afternoon. So
nice. Oh my God.
Breakfast part, a special events venue.
Oh my, I can't, one of my friends needs to get married here. I can't wait to go to this venue.
Send them my way. I have a girl who's been working for me since SeaLegs Wine Bar. And I say, girl, she's somebody who I treasure. One of my favorite people in the world. And she still handles all of my events from the lounge at SeaLegs Wine Bar all the way now to, we just got done with US Open of Surf. I mean, she is my favorite person, and she handles all that. We'll get you in touch with her, Allie Anderson. Allie at PrjktGroup.com in case anybody else needs a special event. She'll
amazing. God, well, I have so many. This was so much fun getting to talk with you. I have a million other questions. I'm going to have you come back on, but we're coming to the end of our time. But before I let you go, I have 3 final questions for you that we call the Thoughtful 3.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. So what advice do you have for when someone finds themselves outside of their comfort zone?
Never, ever give up. Even when you feel like you're failing, even when you feel like you can't do this anymore, you feel like you did the wrong thing. You obviously started this. You wanted it. Do not give up. While you're having your biggest I want to quit moment, on the other side, if you push through, is your biggest breakthrough. So just don't ever give up. They say that, and it is the truth.
Wow, I love that. And then how has your relationship with risk or uncertainty evolved during your career? Because there's so many moments where you've just taken so many amazing risks, and it seems like they all worked out perfectly for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good behind the scenes where it doesn't show that it works out so perfectly sometimes. But the thing is if you don't try, you'll never know.
Yeah.
And you can always figure it out, almost always figure it out. If you feel, and with your whole heart, that you see a vision for something, then you can see how that vision is going to end, and you can see it. I always tell people, see it, touch it, taste it. If you have those 3 things, follow it through. Because you'll always wonder if you didn't follow through. Whether it be buying a home, hiring an employee, dating, right? If you feel it, see it, touch it, taste it, follow it through.
That's so true. I love that. There's been moments where I feel like this is going to happen. And I was so heartbroken over it. I was like, I can feel like this is mine. And then it did happen.
Yep.
So yeah, I love that. And then lastly, what was the best advice that you received when you were first starting out in your career?
Ooh, you know what? I had some friends in Las Vegas, and I tapped into one of my smartest friends. And to be honest with you, he did give me the best advice. And this isn't necessarily advice as far as, I'll answer this in 2 ways. As far as, motivating advice, I just asked him, explain to me how restaurant math works. Explain to me how you become profitable. And I need to know, because if I'm going to do this, I mean, I've always can drive the revenue, but how does this shake out? And he was a financial analyst at the Hard Rock, and he basically just dumbed it down for me and explained to me just simply how much out of $1 you need to spend in each category. And the way he made it make sense, I've carried all the way through my career. I've given other people who are starting restaurants that same advice, and it really was definitely eye-opening. So that's probably the best advice I got.
What was it? What was the specific, or I guess if you can dumb it down.
Yeah, I'll be real fast. I mean, basically out of $1, if you look at it as a pie, restaurant math is broken up into 4 ways, and you really want to see 25% profit. So you have 75% of that dollar to play with. right? So out of 75% of that dollar, 25% goes to fixed costs, 25% goes to your cost of goods sold, and 25% goes to labor. And so then you manage all three of those categories, those three of those triangles in order to achieve the fourth triangle, right? So if you look at it like that, then out of the fixed expenses, you break that down, your rent should be around 10%. Your labor should never be over 25%, all in all, including your salaried employees. And then your cost of goods sold, watching those cost of goods sold and making sure your cost of goods sold is not over 25%. So you have to be strategic with your menu because costs can be going up and down constantly, especially when it comes to meat, right? So you've got to be very strategic with your menu. So basically, if you're going to charge, and this is good math for you to know if you ever go out to eat, let's just call it a $20 dish. That dish should have cost them $5 to make.
Oh.
So $5 to make that dish, $5 for the employees that kept the lights, everything working, and then $5 for the room, the lights on, insurance, all that stuff, in order for them to receive a $5 profit. And so that's the best advice I got, because I took that with me all the way through. I still do. I think about it so simple. And it felt like I was eating, what it's a saying, like, how do you eat an 800-pound gorilla, like in one bite at a time? Once I figured that out, it just was so easy from that point on, as far as like how you do it. I mean, there's lots of different things that weren't easy, but how you do it for that. And then as far as motivating advice, I think just hearing, I believe in you. You can do this. I believe it. Anybody could do it. You can do it. And those are those little things that were just like gas in my tank, especially when I was living on the fumes of a dream. And I had lots of reasons why it shouldn't have worked. And just hearing that, like, you're doing a great job. I believe in you, believe in yourself, keep going. Just those little things were really impactful, especially in the very beginning.
Wow, I love it so much. Well, your story is so incredibly inspiring, and I'm such a fan of all of your establishments, and I can't wait to see what you do with Fork and Spoon. Thank you so much for doing this. This was so much fun.
A pleasure meeting you, Chelsea.
You too.